You are looking at bags and bags of depleted lithium-ion batteries. Batteries from electric cars, phones, scooters, laptops, tablets, cameras, you name it. They are flammable and toxic, so they can't end up in landfills. And believe it or not, these old batteries are still filled with materials that are as good as new.
Batteries are amazing that way because the metals and the critical materials inside of them are very highly recyclable. We recover 95, 98% of many of those critical materials like nickel and cobalt and copper. Essentially all of those metals are able to go back straight into reuse again and again. We started this, because I saw this looming problem from the end-of-life vehicles that we were creating, and starting to have a deep appreciation, back then for the scale of what was coming, and the fact that, I didn't see anyone else getting ready for the scale of that problem. The sheer magnitude of the waste and scrap problem and the magnitude of batteries that need to get recycled is, I think, shocking to most people.
Batteries are indeed everywhere these days, and the demand for lithium-ion batteries has risen sharply in the past 5 years and is expected to grow from $44.2 billion in 2020 to $94.4 billion by 2025, mostly due to electric cars. EVs are expected to hit 10% of global passenger vehicle sales by 2025, rising to 58% of sales by 2040. Panasonic says it produces 2 billion battery cells a year out of Tesla's Gigafactory in Nevada. Batteries are made up of a mix of metals and minerals, including nickel, cobalt, lithium, graphite, and copper, that come from all over the world. Battery cells mined from raw materials often travel more than 20,000 nautical miles from mine to automaker, a supply chain that is far from sustainable. The materials in EV battery cells, for example, could have been mined in South America, Africa, Indonesia, and Australia. Then they are often sent to China for refining, and then in Tesla's case, sent to the US for cell production at Panasonic in Nevada at the Gigafactory. And a significant shortage of battery materials is looming in the near term for materials like lithium, nickel, cobalt, and copper. The clunky supply chain also adds cost to the batteries, which are the most expensive part of an electric car. The largest lithium mine could be in the junk drawers of America.
There's only, so many geologic sources of a lot of these key materials, and, for decades we've been, digging it up and putting it in products and using it. And so many of these consumer products are just getting locked away, stored in people's drawers, literally at home or in their garage or in a shoebox. And over time, that collection of old consumer products stored up in people's proverbial drawer at home, has become, I think, the world's largest, resource of these materials.
The lithium-ion battery recycling market is projected to grow to $18.1 billion in 2030. Up from $1.5 billion in 2019. Recycling batteries isn't just good for the planet, it's also surprisingly good business.
We make margin in a few different places there, and it's really by solving the transport and disposal problems with the batteries initially. And we also take in a lot of consumer batteries, things that used to be in an individual's care, whether it was a scooter or a bicycle or a phone. These things are a bit difficult to handle, and they do have chemical risks and fire risks. So we solve that problem.
Another big player in North America is Li-Cycle, which has battery recycling plants operating in Ontario, Canada, and Rochester, New York, and has plans for rapid expansion. Straubel says the plan is to continue to improve recycling technology and to create an entirely closed-loop system, so recycling can actually surpass geological mining.